Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Monday, July 29th. I'm John Weigell here with Tory Bullock, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Companies like Ford and Tesla have invested massively to combine EVs and trucks into one, but those investments haven't exactly achieved the desired profits. EVs are creeping into the American car market more every year, but adoption of the EV truck has been almost non-existent. So what's wrong with the EV trucks, and why isn't anyone really buying them? We'll answer those questions today with the help of Tory Bullock, who produced a video on EV trucks for the Hustle YouTube channel. But before then, let's give you the hits and headlines in business and tech. Okay, starting us off here. At the end of last week, OpenAI revealed that they're testing an AI search engine called SearchGPT, which of course would be set up to compete with search giant Google. The feature looks to couple search questions with, quote, timely answers and allows follow-up questions. The prototype is available right now to certain users and publishers. Count yourself lucky if you're one of them. Next, speaking of Google, in a follow-up to a story last week, cybersecurity startup Wiz officially turned down Alphabet's lucrative $23 billion acquisition offer. The offer exceeded the company's last private valuation of $12 billion, but it looks like Wiz wants to stay independent. Next, were you hoping to hear something sad on your Monday? Well, I got some good news for you then. Fortune reports that the federal minimum wage has not risen from $7.25 for 15 years. That's the longest streak since it began in 1938. And because of the inflation that we're experiencing, it's now worth the least it's ever been since 1949. Over to Texas. If you're looking to move out of your state, you might be interested in Austin, Texas as an option. Tons of people already are, but to sweeten the deal, according to Realtor.com, Austin is the best place for renters with a rent-to-income ratio of about 20%. New York could never. And finally, if you saw the Paris Olympics opening this past weekend, you were one of many people. The ceremony drew over 28.6 million U.S. viewers, and that audience was 60% larger than for the last Summer Olympics in Tokyo in 2021. All right, so today we're joined by Tory Bullock, once again, who is here to tell us why the U.S. is having such a tough time adopting EV trucks. Welcome back, Tory. Great to have you for round two.
John, it is a pleasure to be back for round two. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, happy to have you as always. So let's dive into this video you made for a second, because you started out this video talking about the popularity of the Ford F-150, one of the most popular trucks in American history, and the kind of the rising popularity of EVs, specifically Tesla. Have a lot of car companies invested a lot of money to make this combination happen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, companies like Rivian, GM, Tesla, Ford, they've all really bought in and invested significantly into EV trucks a few years ago. They all believe what you were just touching on. They believe in the potential of combining America's favorite vehicle type with the rising trend of electric vehicles. And they really went in heavy.
Yeah, it sounds like they did. And the thing that I want to know, you kind of mentioned it later in the video, but I wanted to bring it like early in our conversation. Is there a market exactly for that? Because you would think that on one hand, there's electric vehicle drivers and then there's truck drivers, but is there an intersection of the two markets there that's ripe for the picking?
I mean, in the sense that they both like vehicles with wheels on them, like, yes, there's a lot of intersection, but otherwise, really not so much. Mm-hmm. To break it down, like EV buyers prioritize tech and eco-friendliness. I found this out through my research. And pickup drivers, on the other hand, focus on power and utility and kind of prestige. There's an area where they do share common ground, and it's where like they both want to haul. One side wants to haul, camping materials, and others want to haul construction materials. But the concept of using a pickup to actually pick things up is a pretty high priority for both.
Yeah, totally. And you talk a lot about kind of the power of an EV pickup versus a regular pickup, and we'll get to that in a second. But I want to kind of zero in on this Ford F-150 Lightning. So Ford obviously took this F-150 that has been doing so well for them for so long and decided, hey, let's make it electric. Let's try to break into that market. What went wrong with it? Because I'm not seeing it on the streets anywhere.
It's interesting. It's like when it first came out, or even before it first came out, the excitement was really high. There was nearly 200,000 reservations for it. So people were saying, hey, I want this thing, make me one. And I don't want to kind of like paint the picture that it was a complete failure from the jump. People were excited and people did buy these at the start. But what ended up happening is that essentially people were really excited to buy it, and it either didn't perform the way they wanted it to, or it took too long to get, or it was just way too expensive.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the expensive part of it, because as I remember, it was originally kind of pitched as a semi-affordable car. Was there a point in time where the price rose from Ford's affordable definition to maybe not so affordable anymore?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Within the first 2 years, the price rose by $20,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, in my research, it revealed that they blamed it on a supply chain issue that was happening in high material costs. Mm-hmm. At the time, there was a pretty massive industry-wide microchip shortage that crippled the whole business for a bit.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it was really brought up as an affordable option for people and kind of negated it completely. Do you recall what the price for a Ford F-150 Lightning is right now?
Right now, yeah, there are different models, but a model that I referenced in the video is going for around $80,000 right now.
$80,000. Okay. And in electric vehicles, you also have to replace batteries every once in a while compared to a gas vehicle. For the Ford F-150, what's the cost of replacing one of those batteries?
Yeah, so if you ever get into a situation where you need to replace the entire battery in your F-150 Lightning, like the entire thing, your cost can go up to $35,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, and how does that compare to, for example, to any other company that needs EV batteries? For example, you want to replace the battery in your Tesla.
Yeah, so for a Tesla Model 3, battery replacements can range anywhere between $7,000 and maybe $16,000. So it really shows that the Lightning's battery is, significantly more expensive if you didn't already notice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if somebody decided to buy a Ford F-150, are there any other issues that they would have to look out for in buying the Ford F-150 Lightning?
Yeah, I mean, the truck's weight and reduced range when towing are major concerns. Essentially, if you max out your F-150 Lightning in terms of how much weight it can tow, you can lose up to 50% of your range. That's a pretty significant amount. It can make it, maybe a little less practical for heavy duty tasks.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned in this video about the amount of automotive repair experts in the US, which is like 178,000 people. Are all of them able to also work on electric vehicles?
No, they are not. Only a small fraction, I'm talking about less than 2,000, are actually certified to handle EV repairs. Traditional mechanics, they can handle basic stuff, basic maintenance like tires and things. But when it comes to like actual complicated EV systems, they're more computers and less like engines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very different in that respect, I'm sure. And kind of given all of these various drawbacks, it's hard to feel like America is ready for a full EV revolution right now. But given all of these issues, what is a company like Ford doing to make these F-150 Lightnings or future EVs kind of more accessible?
They're trying really hard. One of the first things they did, they started cutting their costs just a bit. They reduced prices like $2,000 for the standard model and up to $5,500 for the extended range. They also increased the standard range to about 240 miles. And it didn't lead to Ford F-150 Lightnings taking over America. But for the company, recently, the sales went up about 80% in early 2024 compared to 2023. So, there is a heart beating somewhere in there.
Yeah, sure. It's picking up, no pun intended. And lastly, I wanted to ask you, kind of in the future, are there any other EV truck companies out there that you think are going to perform pretty well in the future?
Yeah, there actually are a couple of cool options out there, but one of the ones that I came across and I highlighted in the video is a company called Zero Labs. They have a lot of different options of what they do, but essentially they can either build you a new classic EV truck or they can convert existing trucks into EVs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and their conversion kits are looking to be, between $35,000 and $55,000.
Wow. That's pretty good. Yeah. So it seems like we have some more on the horizon coming. And final thing that I wanted to ask you, Tory, it seems like you learned a lot here. Do you think that you could potentially sell an EV truck if you had to?
Sell an EV truck?
Yeah.
I could sell anything I need to sell out here.
I feel like you got so much info in there.
I could sell one.
Would you buy one?
Would I buy one? No, I would not buy one. Honestly, the thing for me is something I didn't even really get into the video, which is just kind of like charging anxiety.
Oh, same.
I need to be able to charge my car and go somewhere. And if I'm going to have a pickup truck, if that thing's out of juice and I don't have a charger near me, that's a pretty big problem.
Yeah, and a lot of these rental car companies are really trying to peddle these EVs. I was just on my trip yesterday, and I got to the rental car place, and they were like, "Oh, do you want like a gas vehicle or an EV?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll take a gas vehicle. I've never driven an EV." And they were like, "Well, why not? Take the EV. We'll give you a Mercedes." And I was like, No, I don't want it. I don't want it. It's like, you don't even have to fill it up. Just bring it back. I was like, "No, please." So, yeah, that anxiety is felt.
Did you ever think you were going to get to a point where someone was going to be throwing a Mercedes at you and you were going to say, no, thank you?
I did not. I've been practicing to say yes to that question my whole life, and yet now can't seem to do it. Well, anyways, thank you so much, Tory, for being here. Appreciate your information and your insight. And if you haven't yet, everybody who's listening, check out Tory's video on the Hustle YouTube channel on electric vehicle trucks. Thanks again, Tory. Appreciate having you.
My pleasure as always. Till next time.
All right. And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up now at thehustle.co/email, and we'll see you tomorrow.